You cannot prove me that these aren't their zodiac signs. Today we're going to be exploring your favorite TV characters and what their zodiac sign would be. It's going to be Desperate Housewives, Sex and the City, and Friends. Now before we start this video, we need to get two things straight. First of all, this isn't based on their actual birthdays on the show, but rather how they portray themselves as characters and how they develop their persona throughout the series. And secondly, it's only going to be based on their sun sign. No rising sign, no moon sign are going to be involved. I know if you love astrology, these are very important, but I don't want to overcomplicate it. I'll make an exception for one or two characters, but apart from that, we're going to keep it pretty basic and base this off only their sun signs. This video actually caused quite a bit of stir on TikTok, and that's why I'm bringing it over to YouTube, because we can debate here even more than we debate over on TikTok. I think it's only fair that we start with my most debated TV show, and that was Desperate Housewives, especially Gabby. Now Gabby, and you cannot prove me otherwise, although a lot of people have tried to prove me otherwise, Gabby is a Taurus. A lot of people have debated this, that she must be a Leo, but no, and let me tell you why. Two things that Gabby values, right? Firstly, it's money, and secondly, it's appearances, right? We can't debate on that, that's a fact. When you look at a Taurus, those two things are so important compared to a Leo. A Taurus, even if a Taurus feels down and depressed, a Taurus will look good, and you can't prove me otherwise. And I'm gonna give you a character that's actually very much so a Leo. That's Edie. Edie embodies a Leo so much. When you compare Edie and Gabriella, they're very different, and only one can be a Leo. So yeah, think about it. Edie was way more flamboyant, way more outspoken, would fight more for the things that she wanted and the things that she believed in, especially men. So yeah, when you compare those two characters, you can only conclude that Gabriella is definitely 100% a Taurus. Some people debated that she could be, and this is why I didn't want to get rising signs involved too much, rising sign and moon signs, but a lot of people debated that she could be a Taurus sun and a Leo rising, which I absolutely 100% agree, no doubt in my mind. And others agreed that she could be a Taurus with some kind of Libra placement, which again I see, because I definitely think that she's ruled by Venus one way or another. Moving on, Brie is a Virgo. Virgos have this thing where they want the exterior to look perfect, even if they're crumbling on the inside, which I think we explore a lot of that with Brie's character, especially on the early seasons when she was having issues with her marriage. Her character throughout the seasons very much stays the same as a type A character and a perfectionist character, and a character that loves to work hard and look after their home and predominantly really rides or dies for their family. And to me, that's all the traits of a Virgo, and most people agreed with that. Moving on to Susan, I don't know why she gets such a bad rep, but I really enjoyed Susan's character. She's just really in tune with her emotions, and that's why I'm gonna put her as a Pisces. She is very creative, which is the essence of a Pisces. You know, she's an author of a children's book. She very much like cares for her friends, especially her daughter as well. There's that one thing about her where she's a bit needy and she just pushes the boundaries a bit too much, right? She doesn't know when to stop, and that's very much a Pisces thing. Like, they'll want to give you all their attention, all their love, and just push it onto you, and don't know when to kind of retract and like look after themselves, which I think her character really much embodies that. And then lastly, okay, this was the one where I debated the most on myself, which is Lynette. I didn't know whether to put Lynette as a Gemini or as a Sagittarius, but I ended up concluding that Lynette must be a Sagittarius, because that woman will put herself above anything, above her kids, above her marriage, above her friends, right? She even chose her career above her children, which to me is very much a Sagittarius trait. Sagittarius just crave freedom, and they crave to be independent. They also like to be the life of the party, but that's not anything to do with her. They very much crave independency, and if they don't have that independency, they will feel suffocated, and we saw that with her character quite a lot. I know a lot of people debate this one really badly, and I'll give you some examples of what people have said. A lot of people said that Lynette was a Cancer because that's what they said on the show. Again, we're not basing on what the script writers have wrote. They were wrong. They know nothing about astrology, and I'm pretty sure on that. Yeah, again, a lot of people said that Lynette, I don't know, I had Lynette as a Capricorn. I cannot see that. I can kind of see Lynette as a Capricorn as she kind of puts her work ahead of everything else, but apart from that, I don't see her as a Capricorn. She's not grounded enough to be a Capricorn. Others argued that she must have been an Aries. Again, I agree in the sense that Lynette definitely has some kind of fire sign energy. Aries, not so much. Doesn't really outburst her anger. Is kind of passive about it until like one day she's had enough and it's like, okay, enough. I want to be me. I want to do me. So that's all for Desperate Housewives. Moving on to Sex and the City. Everybody's favorite character, Samantha, is an Aries, and you can't prove me otherwise. Although, again, people have debated this to the moon and back, but I'm gonna stick by it. She's an Aries. Okay, first of all, her career. No one works as hard as an Aries, maybe a Capricorn, to get the career that they want. An Aries is a born leader. Aries thrives as an entrepreneur, and that very much gives me Samantha. Samantha's career, I think, was equally as important than her passion for men. Like, you know what I mean? And the way that she didn't really give a shit about a man's opinion, it's just so powerful, and that's literally what an Aries will do. If an Aries doesn't like you, if an Aries isn't fulfilled in a relationship with a partner, they will just kind of like be like, deuces, bye, they're out. As soon as they're not fulfilled, they got to go, because at the end of the day, an Aries is inherently an extremely selfish person, and that's not a bad thing to say, because they know what they want and no one or nothing can get in the way. Hence why Samantha is definitely an Aries. In my comment section, there was a lot of people that debated whether she was a Sagittarius or a Leo. No. Just no. I cannot pinpoint her as either. It just doesn't make sense to me. Other people were saying that Samantha is a Taurus because of her sexuality. Someone commented, him yeah, Samantha is a Taurus. You'll hate to admit it because the best TV characters just can't be a Taurus, right? Well, she is. She is harsh, demanding, stubborn, self-sufficient, and always right. In bed, at the office, and everywhere else. Not Aries, definitely not Scorpio or Leo, Taurus. And also they were debating that Samantha was a Capricorn because of her work ethic, but then again, because of her sexual power, to me she leaned more towards either an Aries, and if I was to bend the rules a little, I would have said a Scorpio. And yeah, more people were just debating that Samantha was in fact a Sagittarius because of her love for independence, her love for her freedom, which I can see. But in my opinion, a Sagittarius isn't born to be an entrepreneur, isn't born to like lead people, isn't born to dictate. That's much more an Aries trait. Sagittarius love freedom too much to be controlled by a company, even if it's the company that they created themselves. I said what I said. I said what I said, and I stand by it. Now, Carrie, I'm sorry, sometimes my French accent kind of gets in the way, but Carrie actually is my least favorite. I know, she's my least favorite, and she's kind of wishy-washy. Now, what I'm gonna say next, Libras, don't come at me, because you have already come at me. I mean it mainly with her character, but Carrie is definitely a Libra. She kind of doesn't have a backbone when it comes to her relationship with men. She is extremely passive and just lets them walk all over her. And then there's the more superficial things, like she loves shopping, she likes the way she looks. I know I didn't really go into depth about Carrie's character, and that's because there's no depth to her. Anyway, moving on, which then brings me to my favorite, Charlotte. Generally speaking, Samantha is the favorite, but to me, Charlotte is my favorite. She represents the mother of the group so well, and therefore she's a Cancer. She is so loving, so caring, and the thing that she craves more with anything in a relationship is having stability, having motherhood, having a partnership. She just screams a Cancer. She's always there for her friends. She can be a bit too emotional and a bit too needy again, but that's just a water sign energy, which personally I really love. I just love it. We need a world where there's more Charlottes, honestly. And then finally we have Miranda. Now, someone took the piss out of the way I said it. I'm sorry, I just can't pronounce her name. Miranda, that's it, I think we got it. I couldn't tell you whether she was a Virgo or a Capricorn, and this is when I'm gonna get the rising sign and the moon sign involved. So to me, she's definitely a Virgo sun. Actually, no, never mind. She's definitely a Capricorn sun because of her work ethic and the way that she focuses on things. And that's one trait I really admire about Capricorn, is that when they have their head on something, nothing will get in the way, and it's very impressive. It's very similar to an Aries. But whereas an Aries is kind of show off about it, Capricorn is put their head down and one day they're just poof, a millionaire, you know? And her independency, she is definitely a Capricorn sun. The only reason I was touring with her being a Virgo is that she is kind of stuck up. And if you're a Virgo, don't come at me, let me explain. A Virgo kind of finds it difficult to unclench, right? It's just a known fact. Unless you have like other rulers in your chart, Virgos are a bit uptight. And I think Miranda's character tends to be quite uptight compared to the other three. She has a hard time having fun. She has a hard time staying in relationships too because she's so stuck in her ways. And to me, that's very much an earth sign energy. And that's why I couldn't pinpoint whether she was a Virgo, Capricorn, definitely not a Taurus. But there's also a lot of beautiful attributes of a Virgo that is worth mentioning. Virgos will ride or die for you. If they love you, they are just gonna be your biggest supporter. Also, she kind of tends to be a bit judgmental, which again to me is a Virgo attribute. In terms of what people were saying online, people were agreeing that Miranda was a Virgo but not a Capricorn because she wouldn't have married the man that she married if she was a Capricorn, which honestly I agree with that. Okay, this is definitely my favorite because Friends is my all-time favorite TV show ever. If I told you how many times I've watched Friends, you'd be worried. This was definitely my favorite TV show to do, and it was my first TV show that I did. Again, this was quite a debated TV show that I had because I placed Rachel as a Libra, and a lot of people said that no, she's in fact a Taurus. Even on the show she happens to be a Taurus, even though we're not basing this on that. A Libra trait is that they can't make up their mind, they can't make decisions, even take criticism too. And I'm saying this as a Libra rising, so if anything I'm insulting myself too. Throughout most of the seasons, it was either she was with Ross, she wasn't with Ross, she was on the break with Ross, she wanted Ross back, she had a child with Ross. You know, the thing about Libra, because they can't say no, they'll always keep you around. Even if they don't want you to be around, they'll just keep you around because they are the people pleasers. And then moving on to Chandler, I think Chandler's wit and Chandler's banter is my absolute favorite thing, and only a Gemini could pull off that type of personality. Like seriously, the thing about Geminis is that they always know other people's business, and trust me, that's a fact. Like a Gemini will know everything about everything, and somehow Chandler always got dragged out into every possible storyline you can think of, which just makes sense as a Gemini. Also, his fear of commitment, oof, as an air sign, that's probably one of the scariest things an air sign could experience. Now this is where I had like fight my case for this character, and I don't know why. I thought to me Phoebe being an Aquarius was the most obvious choice, and I don't mean this purely based on her quirky sense of style, the fact that she's very independent. Like every other character kind of depends on everybody else's character in one way, but Phoebe is very much on her own, right? She even moved out of Monica's very early on because she couldn't stand the fact that she was so OCD and type A, and just moved in with her grandma. She had smelly cat, like loads of random things. She was the surrogate for her half brother. Something about her just really gives me Aquarius energy, and I thought that was like non-negotiable, but people really debate this. A lot of people said that she was a Sagittarius, which I can kind of see, if I have like squint, you know, I can kind of see it. Other people said that she was a Pisces. I can see in a sense that she's very creative, but to be in touch with her emotions the way a Pisces is just doesn't resonate with Phoebe's character. Someone else had a huge tiff at me about it. Someone said, girl, could you stop making the weird characters always as an Aquarius? We are not weird with pink hair introverts, thank you. Okay, first of all, that's not my intention ever. I love Aquariuses. I love how they're always quirky, and not in a bad way. They're just quirky and individualistic, and they'll just do and wear things that'll make them feel good no matter what the trend is. And I think that was my point as placing Phoebe as an Aquarius. No matter what's going around her, she won't deviate to her core beliefs, to her core values. That's what I meant, not the fact that she's a weird sense of style. I don't know whatever that comment was trying to say, but that's what I mean. Yeah, so I was very confused as to why that was so hugely debated. Very confused. If you don't agree with Phoebe being an Aquarius, please write in the comment section why, because to me, yeah, I don't get it, and I would love to hear your opinion. When you look at Brie, when you look at Miranda, and when you look at Monica, they very much all have that one thing in common, and that's their perfectionism and their personality. They're very in your face, bold, I'm always right. They all have that in common. Things don't go their way, it will piss them off, and that's why I also based Monica's character as a Virgo. No one debated that, and that kind of OCD only a Virgo could have, like that kind of mania, yeah, only a Virgo. Which then brings me on to her brother. Her brother, again, very much an earth sign. I placed him as a Capricorn, again for his dedication to his work, and also the fact that nothing really matters apart from the dinosaurs and his close relationships. The thing about Capricorns is they're going to place all their attention on whatever is going to make them money, and for a Capricorn it's very hard for them to let people in. So when they have a set group of friends or even a partner, they will actually stick around for the long run, only because firstly they don't really have time to be looking for new friends or a new partner, partner. They're generally a very loyal sign that will ride or die for you, and they will carry on in a relationship until it's inevitable that it's broken, which is kind of what happened with Rachel. And he's always serious and calm, which very much gives me Capricorn energy. And then my little Joey caused so much controversy because I put him as a Leo instead of a Taurus. And let's get into that. First of all, let's lay out all the facts. He tried to live alone, he couldn't. He's an actor, loves being in the limelight, he loves women, he loves his friends, right? Based on all those key factors, I very much placed him as a Leo. He's also very happy, very easygoing, which isn't really a Taurus trait to me. But because Joey has this one thing that Tauruses are known for, people instantly came at me and said, no, he's a Taurus. And that's because he loves food. Like, are you kidding me? Based on all the facts I've given you, because he loves food, he's a Taurus, he's way too outgoing, and he's definitely way too happy-go-lucky to be a Taurus. Tauruses tend to be very pessimistic, and I'm saying this as a Taurus. We're not always very happy, and that's just a tough fact. Also, we're very happy with being independent, which Joey character isn't. We've kind of seen him try to be independent when he got his own flat, when he had a lot of money from Days of Our Lives. Also, towards the end, he ended up living with Chandler and Monica too, which is very codependent. Leos can tend to be quite codependent because they need the validity and the acceptance of an outside perspective to feel content. Yeah. And that wraps up this video. Gosh, I think I spoke about this for a whole hour. I'm sure when I edit this, it won't be an hour anymore, but damn, a girl can yap. If you love this video, definitely let me know which TV shows I should do next, because I definitely want to do a part 2. And also, debate. Tell me where you think I'm wrong. Tell me where you disagree, and don't hold back, because why should you? I shall see you very soon. Thanks for watching.